Mushoku Tensei Season 2 Part 1 Complete Recap. Esh, get it! The season begins with Sylphie being transported to the palace of the kingdom of Asura, where she accidentally saves the life of the second princess, Ariel. In the process, she gets a bit of a hair change. Seeing Sylphie's abilities, Ariel recruits her as one of her bodyguards, under the alias of Fitz. Ariel is currently engaged in a secret feud with her brother, Grabble, over succession to Asura's throne, with her most loyal supporters being her other bodyguard, Luke, and his father, Lord Pilemon. Later, Ariel learns that Sylphie suffers from nightmares and invites Sylphie to sleep with her. That night, Sylphie thwarts an assassination attempt arranged by Grabble. Lord Pilemon suggests that Ariel study abroad for now to guarantee her own safety, and so they set off. Elsewhere, depressed Rudius continues his search for Zenith by traveling to the remote Northlands. To earn money, he agrees to join the party Counter Arrow, consisting of frontline fighters Suzanne and Patrice, Mage Timothy, Healer Mimir, and Archer Sarah. He accompanies Counter Arrow on a quest to slay grizzlies, but things take a turn for the worst and they are surrounded. Seeing the other members fighting for their lives, Rudius regains the motivation to continue living and flexes his strength. Upon returning to town, Rudius realizes that he has not lost everything and will begin to live for those he still cares for. Several months pass, and Rudius builds his reputation in the Northlands, hoping that word of him may reach Zenith. Oh, and he's jacked. He accompanies Counter Arrow on another quest, but accidentally runs into Soldat and his party, Stepped Leader. They squabble, but successfully complete the quest and return to the town to celebrate. The next day, Rudius learns that Mimir has been killed, and Sarah has gone missing during a quest, with the rest of Counter Arrow being forced to retreat due to a blizzard. He heads into the nearby forest alone, recovers Mimir's remains, and rescues Sarah. After being thanked for his deeds, Rudius feels a sense of catharsis and regains more of his lost emotions. After the rescue, Sarah gets closer to Rudius and asks him out on a date. Later that night, they try to smash, but Rudius discovers he has erectile dysfunction, which causes a disappointed Sarah to leave. Embarrassed, Rudius drinks away his sorrows and ends up venting his feelings to Soldat. Soldat tries to help by taking him to a brothel where a prostitute, Elise, also fails to arouse him. She theorizes that Rudius cannot feel passion because he fears rejection from women. On the way home, a frustrated, drunk Rudius goes on a rant criticizing Sarah. She overhears this and their relationship sours. Seeing Rudius at rock bottom, Soldat offers to bring him adventuring with his party. Meanwhile, Elena Lise, who has been searching for Rudius, learns of his location. Rudius spends the next 2 years adventuring with Soldat's party, getting strong enough to slay a red dragon by himself. Elena Lise finally finds Rudius and informs him that Paul and Roxy have already set off to the labyrinth city of Rappa to find Zenith. Rudius decides to stay until the winter passes and then join them. Sometime later, Rudius receives a letter from the Ranua University of Magic, inviting him to attend as a special student due to his recent fame. That night, Rudius encounters the Man God and is advised to go to the university and research the teleportation disaster there, promising him that it will cure his ED. With Elena Lise following, he journeys to Ranua. Rudius arrives at the university, where his ability is tested by Fitz, completely unaware that it is Sylphie. Rudius easily defeats Fitz and is accepted as a student, along with Elena Lise. After attending a speech by Ariel, the student council president, Rudius attends his special student homeroom. There he reunites with Zanoba and meets some classmates, Linnea Dedoldia, Persena, and Cliff Grimoire, who tells Rudius he knows him because of Eris. Fitz is also part of his class, but rarely attends. Later, Rudius meets Luke, who reveals he is a Grey Rat and Rudius' cousin. On his way back to the dorm, Rudius catches one of Ariel's panties, which Fitz accidentally dropped. The female students confront him, accusing him of having stolen them. Fitz arrives and defends Rudius, forcing the mob to stand down. Rudius thanks Fitz for helping him, and Fitz decides to tease Rudius by not telling him her true identity. Rudius gets the hang of school life and researches the cause of the teleportation disaster alongside Fitz. Rudius begins to realize he may have a crush on Fitz, though he's confused since Fitz is apparently male. Meanwhile, he attempts to teach Zanoba how to create sculptures, but his lack of magic capacity and super strength obstruct him. Fitz suggests that Zanoba should purchase a slave who can create sculptures for him. Rudius, Fitz, and Zanoba then travel to the local slave market and purchase a young dwarf girl they name Julie. Rudius begins tutoring Julie while she acts as Zanoba's servant. As Sylphie gets used to having Rudius back in her life, she begins to realize that she has romantic feelings for him. 1 month later, Julie has learned basic magic and can cast without incantations. One day, Rudius asks about the sculpture of Roxy, only to find that Zanaba had lost it in a duel to Linnea and Presena, who destroyed it. Angered, Rudius defeats them in a fight and takes them hostage. He consults with Fitz on the best way to punish them, and they prank the Beast Girls by forcing them to wear embarrassing face markings for a day. They leave with a respect for Rudius after learning he trained under Ghislaine, and Rudius spends some more time alone with Fitz. Cliff approaches Rudius one day and asks him to introduce him to Ellen Elise, who he's crushing on. Rudius goes through with it, though skeptical about her ability to commit. Rudius advises her to turn down Cliff's feelings, but the next day, he is shocked to see that they are in a genuine relationship. Later, the beastmen of the school start challenging Rudius for the right to marry Linnea and Presena, having been told he is their pack leader. However, they are all defeated by the demon king Barigari, the fiancé of Kishirika, who challenges Rudius to a duel. Rudius wins the duel by wounding Body with one attack. When winter arrives, Rudius is surprised to discover that Body has joined their class. Fitz wants to reveal her true identity to Rudius, and she gets encouraged by Ariel's approval. Meanwhile, Rudius continues to study teleportation, and sees it is similar to summoning magic. Fitz suggests Rudius consult with a summoning specialist, Silent 7-Star, but he is shocked to discover it is Nanahoshi, and his PTSD kicks in. He awakens, and Nanahoshi shows him two Japanese names, Shinohara Akito and Kuroki Satoshi, and asks if one belongs to him. They don't, and he realizes Nanahoshi is from Japan. She takes off her mask, and Rudius sees she is the high school girl he died trying to save. She wants to find a way back to their world, while Rudius wants to stay. Nanahoshi explains that she was summoned 5 years ago, and hasn't aged since. Orsted found her and took her into his care, though she lacks mana capacity and cannot cast magic. She makes a deal with Rudius, where he will use his mana for her experiments in return for her knowledge. She further explains that the mass teleportation disaster was possibly a side effect of the spell that summoned her. Fitz continues to feel jealous that Rudius spends most of his time with Nanahoshi, but is still too afraid to reveal her identity. 1 year after enrolling in the university, Rudius receives an invitation from Soldat to attend a clan reunion. After the reunion, he parts with Ellen Elise and Cliff, who plan to do some adventuring. At the library, Rudius hangs with Fitz, and his growing crush begins to make him doubt Fitz's gender. During another meeting, Fitz accidentally falls on top of Rudius, and he confirms that she is a female. Fitz flees, but Rudius realizes that for a brief moment, he was hard. With Fitz's secret now known to Rudius, Ariel pressures her to reveal her identity to him and devises a plan. Later, Fitz invites Rudius to come with her to gather a rare flower deep in the forest, despite it being winter. Rudius agrees, and they travel into the forest. Fitz then secretly makes it rain, soaking them both and forcing them to find shelter. Here they imitate the scenario that happened when they were kids. After taking off her glasses, Rudius realizes Fitz is Sylphie, much to her relief. Now properly reunited, Sylphie admits she has fallen in love with him. Rudius admits he loves Sylphie as well, but sadly he cannot make love to her since his ED still isn't fully cured. Sylphie reports back to Ariel and Luke, with Luke agreeing to help. He gives Sylphie a rare and powerful aphrodisiac, which we have seen before. Sylphie meets Rudius later that night, and they both drink the aphrodisiac, which helps push them to make love. The next morning, after realizing that Sylphie hasn't abandoned him, Rudius experiences an emotional catharsis, overcoming the trauma caused by Eris. Rudius then thanks Ariel for her help by pledging his loyalty to her, and then asks for Sylphie's hand in marriage, which she accepts. The season ends with Ariel releasing Sylphie from her obligation and accepting Rudius as part of her inner circle. Now you should remember everything you need to know. Enjoy part 2, guys. Peace.